this is sugar and this is sugar. But if you crave this kind of sugars and you want to live a good long life, you have a problem. And in today's video, I would like to share with you 3 steps how to break the sugar addiction, especially if it comes to the bad sugars, and how to change your taste buds to crave the better sugars. So the first step is really identifying what are the causes of your sugar craving and why it's so difficult to basically stop eating the bad stuff if you know they are bad for you, right? And it's not about like your willpower. Of course, it plays a role, but it's about getting to know what are the driving factors. And here we have like the few common causes, and some of them may actually surprise you. So from like nutrient deficiencies, like the chromium, magnesium, zinc, those like kind of like one of the key minerals that you may be deficient that increase your sugar craving. And then poor digestion. So for example, if you crave sugar after a meal especially, that's a strong indication that your digestion is off and your body is demanding the sugar, because sugar is one of like the easiest sources of energy. So of course, if your body struggles with something, it wants the more energy sources, the quickest and the easiest one, and sugar is one of those. And then stress and habit. And to be honest, stress is the big one. And again, that's something like a lot of people may not realize, because we are kind of used to living busy, stressful life nowadays, rushing from one thing to another, overthinking, and lots of other like emotional stressors that have huge impact on our sugar cravings. And that also includes lack of sleep. Because when we don't sleep enough, we increase our like cortisol, which is like stress hormone. And when we have higher levels of the cortisol, what happens? Our body thinks we are like in danger. So again, when we are in danger, it's kind of like, I need to run away, so give me energy. And the quickest energy is unfortunately sugar. And I noticed even that in myself, even though I quitted those kind of like refined sugars, I think over 10-15 years ago, kind of now, I think 10 years, yeah. Anyway, but if I'm going through like more demanding or toughest period in my life, or even a day, I can feel that luckily my body doesn't crave the bad sugars anymore, but I feel like having more like carbs overall. That's why it's so important to make that shift. And even if we have something more going on in life, you cope with that in a better, healthier way, kind of. The step number 1, as I said, identify really the biggest drivers, like what's causing like sleep. Maybe you're lacking certain nutrients, so sometimes it's good to do additional tests to actually narrow down. And then like be really honest with yourself, and in terms of like how you live your life, how you handle stress. Sometimes like that's something what I noticed with myself. Like I've been living a long time in a fight or flight mode, and what happens, sometimes we go to this like freeze state, and then in the freeze state we actually are not feeling anything anymore. So even when we are getting more stressed, we stopped feeling that because we are frozen. And this state kind of happens when we're facing a situation that we don't see the solution, or we don't know how to cope with that. Anyway, step number 1, find the cause of your sugar craving, and then work out what is your main trigger. So again, could be, for example, lack of sleep, poor breakfast, anything else, or stress. But if it's stress or maybe some kind of emotion, write it down what kind of emotion it is. And I know it may think like a bit of like boring doubting, oh, I don't want to write it down, I just want to change it, you know. But the thing is, if we don't write it down, we don't see it, we may think we don't exist. So once you write it down, it's a better reminder for your brain that this is the problem and we need to work out on this problem. So to give you a bit of like idea, the most common emotional like triggers in terms of like sugar cravings is simply like worrying about something, but we don't have solution, right? So we want that solution. And our mind thinks, okay, give me sugar, maybe that will me help. And sometimes it can come also to you, like back to your childhood. For example, when you were little and you fall from the bike or hurt yourself, and your mom or your dad say, oh, like, don't cry, here is your, like, candy to make you feel better so you don't cry. The thing is, our brain works on repetition, and during those first years of our life, we form all those like programs and how we operate later in our life. So for your mind, if you get a candy or something sweet when you feel bad or you fall and cry, then your brain thinks, okay, if I'm in distress or not feeling good, the candy will soothe me and make me feel better. So that's something like a lot of people are not aware, but that could be also a factor. And then simply sometimes being bored. How many times we try to work, try to do something, but we cannot really get into the flow. His fridge is nearby, so it's like, oh, let me cook something. Let me maybe do the dishes. So being bored is another common one. And one of the, I think the most important one is basically to make you feel good, which I explained briefly just before. Because sometimes when we have like the tough day, and the worst when the tough bad days carry on for like days, months, years, then we have that kind of like need at the end of the day. Oh, the day was hard. I worked a lot, for example, but it didn't like give me any like satisfaction or like fulfillment or anything else that give you that internal reward. So then we are looking for external rewards. So that's something again to be mindful, because once we know what is actually causing you to get that piece of cake, we can reverse that, we can change that. And again, comes a bit to how your brain operates as well, and change that to crave something better. So step number 1, work out your causes of your sugar cravings. Step number 2, what are the triggers? What are the moments in the day or like the situation when you crave more of sugary things? The step number 3 is the most important, which is like execution. Follow it, action plan. Because the thing is, like, just wanting to break sugar craving, break sugar addiction is not enough, because it's very vague, and to take action, to take like the right steps to change that, we need to be very specific. Because if we, for example, say, oh, I just want to go for a run, but we don't say when, how long, our brain will find excuses not to do that. So in terms of like creating your action plan, I want to give you a few like key points that I want you to include. And again, write down on the paper, because that's super helpful, especially if you know that sugar craving has been a challenge for a long time. So with this last step, you really need to be clear when your body craves that sugar. I want to think about you like in terms of kind of like, I don't want to say algorithm, but what if. So for example, if I had a bad day at work, usually I want this donut or like piece of chocolate. If, for example, I don't sleep well, then I crave coffee in the morning or coffee with like muffin. For example, if I had an argument with my partner, I chocolate bar again or something like that. So once you're clear on this happened, my body craved this, we can create the third step that will help you to change the bad habit. You know that, okay, this happened, I want this, then you create the new step, what I do in this situation. So I don't reach out for this cake, sugary donut or chocolate bar, but what will be my replacement? And again, with the replacement, it can be food, it can be activity, or simply chatting with someone. But once you have that written down, you don't have to, because when we crave sugar, we are not logical, we are emotional. We act and we think. But when you have written this down and you're very conscious about that, and you go through the day, each day with the intention, I want to change that, and you have that action plan written on the paper, kind of like reminder, what do I do? The same when, for example, I don't know, you start new work and you have lots of responsibilities, but you get some like kind of like manual instruction about how to perform certain tasks. When you're like stuck or you don't know what to do, you get back, you read, you proceed. So the same. So if you want to replace unhealthy foods with other foods, I want you also to have it prepared and ready. So what does it mean? Have it on your table, in your cupboard, in your bag. So you make that change easy for you, because if we don't have it easily available, again, we will find excuses not to do that. So sit down and think about what will be a nice alternative to that. Maybe have a nut bar, maybe go to the organic health shop and find a healthier sweets. And trust me, nowadays there is so many, healthier alternatives. You even don't have to bake. If you don't have time, just arrange 1 hour in your day, maybe on Saturday, go to the health shop, stocked up on healthy, good, sweet alternatives. And then you have it ready when the sugar cravings come. Healthier alternative is the one thing, but even my more preferred way is finding kind of activity or the way how I release that emotion that caused the sugar craving. So maybe if you got upset about something or not feeling happy, how I can change that. Maybe go for a walk, maybe talk with someone about what I don't like about my day or my life. And that helps to release that emotion, because again, what happens when we just accumulate the emotions, increase our circulating levels of cortisol, and we know cortisol is not only stress hormone but sugar craving, fight or flight, escape, run away hormone that our body thinks it needs sugar, even if there is no actual danger. So yeah, to summarize, the first step, find the cause. Second step, write down your triggers and when the sugar cravings are the stronger, so you know. And the first step, the action plan. Be very specific, make it very easy and very accessible for you to make that change. And I know that at the beginning you may feel, oh, it's hard. Yeah, because every change is hard. But the question is how much you want it. And if you really want to be healthier, feel better. Example, a few years ago, I was eating sugary Starbucks latte or the milk chocolate. But at some point I decided, I want to make a shift. I want to be healthier. What can I do to live a healthier, longer life? And then I start making shifts towards the darker chocolate. And of course, at the beginning, it was not tasting well. So I was doing 1 piece of milk, 1 piece of the dark chocolate. And I started moving from the milk chocolate to 70, 80%. And now I'm having 90% and it fully satisfies my sugar cravings. So it's 100% possible. And I think the most interesting thing is that once you start making that shift, your taste bud changes as well. So actually you are not tempted by this bad pack of sugar cakes, because first of all, it's part of the habit, but also your body stopped craving that. So beginnings are hard, but the change is 100% possible. And if that sounds something you really want to do and commit to improve your health, improve your well-being, I'm also organizing a free sugar detox challenge, 14 days, where I will be guiding you how to make that change. It starts 15th of April. I put the link in my bio, so you can sign up, just put your email, and then I will add you to my WhatsApp group. We will have some calls, and you also receive a mini guide toolkit with what to do, what are the healthier alternatives, and a bit of guidance to help you break that sugar addiction. I hope that was helpful. If you have any thoughts or questions, please comment below. Don't forget to subscribe as well.